here and welcome to my craft room. Today we're going to do a reverse dye bleaching technique. And I came up with this today as I was looking at some dyes to die cut and I wanted to do bleaching. So I turned my dyes over and I had a stencil. And it was absolutely wonderful because now I can use all my beautiful dyes with this bleach and use them as a stencil by just turning the dye over, securing it down to your page, and then you take a paintbrush or your watercolor brush and use bleach, and it's beautiful. I'm taking the Cornish Heritage Farm stamp, isn't it beautiful, with the butterfly landing on this really pretty flower, wildflower, and I'm taking my Versamark and tapping it in there, and we are going to finish the 5th in the series of the distressed watercolor clean and simple cards. I am putting down baby powder this time because I want to make sure nothing gets on the rest of the cardstock, and then I'm rubbing it with my other static tube, and it has the brush on the end, and then I just tap it off into the garbage, and I know that nothing's going to go outside the butterfly. So I'm deciding where I want to have it, and I'm turning my page. Do I want the dark orange at the top? Yes, I do. I decided to go with that. And this is that beautiful new embossing powder, the gold embossing powder that I bought at Buffalo Stamp and Stuff. And I showed you yesterday in my haul. And I'm just taking my paintbrush to remove a little bit that I had gotten there. And I'm telling you, does this stuff sparkle? Oh, it's beautiful. Heat set it with the heat tool, and it is so pretty. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? I'm telling you, I am so glad that I bought this because it is a really nice gold. Now I'm going to take the bleach that I have in my spray bottle with one of these dollar store brushes. That's why I buy the set. They're not expensive paintbrushes. They're $1.25 for many of them, and that way if something happens and you're using bleach, you can dispose of it and it doesn't bother you as much. So I'm tapping the bleach into the distress inks right here on all the empty spaces, just dropping little droplets, and in just a few seconds, look how beautiful it lifts that distress ink up and it reveals the white cardstock underneath. I think it's very pretty, and I wanted to do this technique as soon as I saw the yellow. And now look at this. This is the Spellbinders die that I use as a stencil. Yes, I said it right. A stencil. Can you believe it? So I'm going to cut this butterfly up because I'm going to do the raise technique with this. So I'm just setting it down for a minute. The stenciling part I'm going to use is this bow and little filigree on the side. So I grab my medical tape, I tape it down there, I have it turned around, and now I'm adding the bleach. And you get that exact image, just as if you bought a stencil. Isn't that amazing? I don't know, I just thought of that today. I thought, look, I was looking at my dies, and I thought, that looks like a stencil. I just love the effect that you get with the bleach, because not only you can bleach on top here using this dye as a stencil, but you can go in with any color medium over top of the bleach, and it will lighten it up so that you get a nice colored effect after the distress ink is taken off. And then just pat it with a paper towel, take off the medical tape, and look at there. Beautiful. I was so happy. So now I'm going to move my die over because I want to die cut this image because it has the little dots in it, and I want to raise it up. So I'm putting on my vagabond and putting a lid on there, and I'm going to remove it, and it is so pretty. So now I am just going to cut off the white edges so that it's nice and clean, because it is a clean and simple card, and we have our reversed stencil die technique done with the bleach. And there you have the tag. Isn't it pretty? Now we're going to go ahead and add this Nouveau crystal drops that I got in my stash yesterday. that I bought when I was at Buffalo Stamp and stuff, and I thought because it said crystal drops that it had a shimmer, but it doesn't. It's a flat white, which I really like, and it is very thick. So I'm just making little dots, and I want to make sure they're the same size. So I take out my cutting knife, and I just take a little bit off, going around and around, and it will remove it perfectly. And it is nice and flat because I can Copic color over them when they dry, and it is amazing. It clings to the Copic markers, and there you have it. It is beautiful, and you could mix anything with it if you wanted to use it on stencils and swipe it over a stencil. So I'm taking some of my powder, anti-static powder, and I am putting the thank you that goes with the set, and I'm doing it with the same gold embossing powder that I had bought yesterday. I'm trying to use some of the products, and I'm heat setting it, and I'm going to make a flag because I tried to put the thank you in gold on the card underneath the butterfly, but you couldn't see it. So I decided to make a flag out of the black cardstock and put it underneath there. See how I tried to put the thank you and you couldn't see it. It didn't show up nicely. So I am taking some of my wet glue, and this is my tattered lace glue. I love it. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but it dries beautifully, and it dries matte, and it's affordable. Once I get this set down, and if there's any glue that seeps out, I use a baby wipe because with the distress ink, it doesn't disturb anything opposed to putting it, wiping it down with a paper towel. It works very well, dries nice and matte. I really like it. So I want to put this tag on after I put this on. Yes, the thank you with I just cut this out with my scissors actually. And now I'm going to put the double-sided tape on the back. And I tried to use just one layer, but I wanted to see the black underneath from that black cardstock. That's the Michaels cardstock that I get. It's a 120-pound cardstock. I get it in black and white at Michaels, and it is super thick. It really is. When it says 120 pound, it really is. So I decided to go back and add one more layer over top of this layer because it was too flat, as you could see there. So once I put another layer up, excuse me, it shadowed the black, and it really stood out. I just loved it. And it really is a simple card. You're just die cutting. You're turning your die cuts over as a stencil, and then you're just taking a paintbrush and you're going to use your bleach. It's just Javix bleach, good old Javix bleach, and you're going to take the color off wherever you want it. And I thought it needed black stickles there because of the black in the little tag on the bottom. So I made them nice and round, and I heat set them. Well, that's the front of the card. Isn't it pretty? I think it's clean and it's simple, yet it's so elegant. And then of course, I want to do the inside of the card. So I made sure that my mat was nice and clean, and I'm setting up to get the same stamp. I'm going to stamp this out, and I'm going to put the Versamark down, but I'm going to use black embossing powder. I think it will look really nice as a contrast to the tag on the front. And here it is. It's a Reflections. I got that at Michael's. It's extra fine, and it came out really, really nice. I really liked it. And underneath this, I got out my other stamp set that I got from my haul yesterday. Just putting some back from the coffee filter, and I wanted to Copic color. So inside this butterfly, I wanted to make it look like a monarch butterfly because then it incorporates the yellow and the orange like the distress inks on the front. So I took out a yellow, and as soon as I see it here, I'll tell you the color, YG21, and then I took out the YR16. And I just added it so it looked as much like a little monarch as I could get it, just coloring in every other empty space. And I do the little dots on there. It just really looked cute. And then I move on to the flower, and I wanted to add some texture. You know I'm all about texture, and so here I took my Versamark pen. I'm going down the flower, and I take my little anti-static tool, and I want to make some grass, so I just swipe it like really quick swipes on the bottom to add a little bit of texture. And if you want texture, guess what you grab for? You don't grab for extra fine embossing powder. You grab for a chunky embossing powder. Tim Holtz, yes, he has beautiful embossing powders, and they're rich in texture, and I put them on for the grass, and then I put a little bit of the green in the flower. I'm taking some of it off so I can add this marmalade, and it came out really pretty once you heat set it, and you have that texture, and it offsets the outside of the card. I think it looks very, very elegant. I have a light green Copic marker that I used on the inside grass. I went over the white dots from the Uvo crystal drops, and I went over just to give it a little bit of color. And now I take my Technique Tuesday stamp set that I bought yesterday, and I wanted to put So Very Blessed on the inside of the card. I'm going to use my Stephanie Bernard ink on this because it is in licorice and it's really black, and I love that it's raised up. The pad is raised up nicely so that you don't have to go down in when you stamp down on it. And then I stamped it on the inside cards, So Very, and I used my clear embossing powder and heat set it. I love the font because it's plain, and then when you go with the Blessed on the bottom, with that is really nice font on that, nice curly font. It just really came together well, and I thought I would do it in the same gold as the front of the card. Well, I heat set that with the gold embossing powder, the Blessed, and I really liked the inside of the card. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I love the sparkly gold on this. I think it was a good choice of embossing powder. And now we're coming to the end, and I want to thank you so much for joining me. And I add some more little dots so it matches up with the front. When you open it up, you have the same colors of the yellow and the orange. And now all I have to do is put the front card on. Excuse me. So I put my Suquang 3-inch tape on there, and then I add a few more because I don't want this to ever come off the cardstock. And I'm showing you here, yes, it got dirty. You can't have a clean and simple card with dirt on it. What it was my stickles was on my mat, but I was so happy because the front of the card goes right on top of that, so it stayed clean and it stayed simple. Have yourself a blessed week. Thank you for joining me for my 5-card series. I had a blast. Have a blessed week, everybody. Take care.